Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Abby Hagyard. And before we begin, I just have to click this thing here that says, Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So here we are. It is episode 333, which is one of those magic numbers, I think. It's supposed to have all kinds of balance inside it. And balance is sort of what we're looking for just at the moment. A lot of us are experiencing a lot of upheaval. And I wanted to talk I wanted to continue a conversation I had the other day with somebody very special. And I was talking about perspective. I was talking about how we define things and then get kind of caught up in our definition. And we lose sight of the fact that everybody has a slightly different origin story. Everybody comes to the table with a lot of things in common and a lot of things that are very different. And it's so easy when we appear to be very similar to forget that we bring very, very different sets of understandings, automatic assumptions based on definitions, based on origin stories that aren't quite the same. So I thought I would have that conversation today because this is Valentine month. And then of course yesterday we had Family Day, and February carries with it a lot of lovely elements in terms of lovely elements. And good morning, Chris. Welcome back from your triumph. Yay. Yay you. Chris was at Pensacon in Pensacola, Florida on the weekend representing the Unforgettables and did a magnificent job. And I wasn't at all anxious about not being able to be there to give him a nudge. No, I'm fine. What the conversation today is how we so easily get things confused and how we end up disagreeing, or how we end up feeling somehow left out, forgotten, ignored, unappreciated for the wrong reason. And I thought that today was a perfect day to discuss this. I thought that in a time of, in the month of love, in the month of remembering when and romance and all that, it is also important to remember that there are people who are struggling with losses. There are people who, so many of us, feel somehow disconnected, somehow set adrift. Much of my childhood, much of my growing up felt like the rudder had fallen off my boat. And it's so easy. It would have been so easy for me to grow up anxious that I would never, ever find connection. I mean, not only a military brat, an only child, and I had parents with issues, health issues, and mental health issues. And sometimes they were there in all ways, and other times they were only partly there. I used to say that I was raised by Cheshire cats because they would be smiling but not really there. And so, how did I get to a place where I got it, where I saw what I was looking at, and then I saw what I was looking at? And it goes back to an acting class that I attended. And just before I get to the acting class, I want to take a second and welcome all the new people. I've been copying and sharing my videos on several LinkedIn groups recently, and so I'm getting new people saying, "Who's this? What's she talking about?" That's kind of cool. And so periodically, I forget that it's important to let people have some context. So the context is that Abby Haggard ended up sideways, accidentally, being known as a mom. And just over my shoulder, you can see the mom costume. And the mom costume, which I found and put together on behalf of my character, became world famous on You Can't Do That on Television, which was um, broadcast, syndicated through Nickelodeon. And we were seen in all the armed forces bases, US armed forces bases around the world. So my dad, Canadian military, my career elevated and sent viral by more military. And my entire life has been wrapped up in and engulfed in defined by this aspect of being global, of being a child of the world, of being people who represent and then collaborate on the ultimate goal, which is, of course, peace and prosperity and getting along and doing well, thriving, sure, surviving, absolutely, and galvanizing for better outcomes. So that's my point of view. It's not the same point of view as other people. And I can forget that so easily. So in this conversation I was having, I thought, I'm going to go back and I'm going to remind my dear friend of our shared and different origin stories so that we end up having a different conversation. And I did. Now, and so far it's working. It's working, and I'm very pleased. Now, the acting class that I accidentally fell sideways into was taught by somebody very clever who I think may even have been military herself. And she said, we're going to talk about how we change over time, how we change through the years, not how we get taller and how we get bigger, but how we automatically respond based on what we have lived, what frames the way we see what is safe, what is right, what is good. And she said, let's all remember what it's like. And so in acting class, by the way, to clarify my fascination with performance and acting classes, we automatically go around doing things we do without really paying attention. An acting class is an opportunity to examine what the outcome is, where it probably came from, and what other people see when they look at us. Because people do not hear what we say in the way we mean it, and they do not see what we do in the way that we mean it. They hear it and they see it through their filters. So if somebody assumes something about us, that changes their understanding of what they just experienced with us. So when we walk out on stage and we do something and we assume that everybody understands that it's funny, but there are people in the audience who say, what is that supposed to be? The message was not sent clearly. What I presented and what was received were two different things. And it is that confusion that causes so much trouble and strife. So I'm going to show you how that evolves. Good morning, Freddie. In an acting class, this teacher said, when you ask a very small child to show you how much love looks like, the child goes like this. When you ask a child going to school what love looks like, the child goes like this. When you ask a teenager what love looks like, the teenager goes like this. When you ask an adult what love looks like, the adult goes like this. What happened? What happened? What happened to go from this to this? What happened? None of them are incorrect. None of them are false. But something happened. The adult doesn't love us any less. It's that their 100% has been impacted, damaged, bruised, broken, mended, repaired, and now held safe because life. When we meet someone and we are still able to say this much, and their 100% is this much, they're not giving us less than 100%. They're giving us their 100%, not ours. And it's up to us. It's our choice. It's our opportunity to talk to them, to think inside our heads, to understand why we are confused, why we feel threatened or not accepted or valued. It's our opportunity to say, that's odd. That's different. Why is it different? What's happened? How, if I am the same age, if I have been through all my wars, if I have climbed up over and slogged my way through, if I am able to say this much or this much, why are they here? What happened to them? And the answer isn't they suffered more. The answer isn't they care less. The answer is we're different. Our origin stories aren't exactly the same. When we look through the filters of each other's origin stories, when we take ourselves and our feeling of being abandoned or diminished in some way, when we set that aside for a second to solve the puzzle, to unravel the confusion, if we have the opportunity to say, okay, they went through this and they went through this and they went through that. Well, I went through stuff. It's not about us just in this moment. It's breaking down and understanding what their cause and effect moments might be. Because we don't all see things the same way. I don't wear glasses because I said more than anything in life, I want to wear glasses. I wear glasses because my eyesight is severely, no, it's not severe. 20/20 is perfect vision, right? I have 2400. What that means is I have difficulty seeing a gray car around 7:30 p.m. in the rain. I have to really squint. I'm looking in the distance and things, and I'm thinking kind of a murky, swirly, gray nothing. Put the glasses on, I think, oh my gosh. How long has that been like that? So my perspective on the world was compromised rather significantly until the day I got glasses. And then I said, glasses are a good idea. They are assisting my superpower. You know, when you get a sharp sword, what you want is you want a protector thing on the handle so that when you pick it up, you don't slice your hand open. Well, the glasses are my protector against ignorance and inability to see what's happening and coming toward me and receding in the distance. And it makes me different. It makes me different from other people. I have a girlfriend who needs reading glasses, although I suspect I suspect it's more than that. She periodically, she's driving, and she's leaning like this, and I'm saying, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, I left my glasses at home." Now, Me, give me the wheel. What are you doing? Get out of the car. From my perspective, if I had left my glasses at home, first of all, I can't imagine leaving my glasses at home. But if I had left my glasses at home, we're doomed. It's only a matter of moments. Then I have to remind myself that hers are for reading, and for some reason she can't read the street sign. Okay, different fear, different level of fear. But the translation was necessary. The translation and putting things into context was necessary. Good morning, Warren. Good morning, Paul. My goodness, look at all of you up all this at this time of the day. How's life in sunny Florida? Or is it rainy Florida? Or is it freezing cold with snow Florida? How is it all down there? So what I'm trying to quietly, subtly, because I'm all about subtle, right? I'm all around understated, couldn't even see her coming. What I'm trying to say in this video today is that if we recognize, hi Julie, if we recognize that our definition of 100% is different than other people's definition of 100%, we can feel less abandoned. We can feel less kicked to the curb. We can feel less isolated. And we can be willing to feel completely loved and accepted when someone says this much. We can, as long as we're willing to understand that their 100% has been reached through paths and experiences and life moments and origin stories. We can't begin to imagine that they may only have mildly heard without really understanding and clearly hearing it. These origin stories, it's like hidden wiring. You don't know why a lamp keeps going zert, because you can't see the wiring. You can't see whether it's frayed. Sometimes the car won't start or the radio won't work in the car. It isn't until you lift the hood and you realize that there's a mouse been under there eating away at the wire. If you can't see the origin, you can't grasp the outcome. So, and I'm not suggesting that people angry and forceful and stubborn with arms folded are automatically to be accepted. I'm suggesting that the conversation is, let's examine what we mean. Let's examine the terms. Let's define the terms. If I say, oh my gosh, it's hot in here, and it's 68 degrees, that's in Fahrenheit, obviously, then I have a different body temperature response to climate around me. If I was raised in the north where it's cold all the time, and I came down to a more temperate climate, I would find it warm when other people are walking around wearing jackets. If I was raised in the south where it's very warm, I would be shivering and cold when other people are walking around wearing shorts. Because my definition of normal, my definition of the way it is and always has been, is different. They do studies of identical twins. They do conversations with people who say, I was raised by the same parents, we're the same age, I learned the same lessons. No, we didn't. What the parent learned after the first experience, they applied to the next batch of training. We got a similar lesson, but with different twists on it. So The conversation when you're preparing to disagree is, first of all, what do you mean by your words? When you say this, what do you mean? Give me another word that I can understand. When I say I love you this much and you say you love me that much, does that mean you love me less? If I say this is my 100% and you say this is your 100%, then 100% is 100%. And it just means that I get to choose to be okay with someone who is carrying more baggage than I. And maybe I can help them put some of the baggage down. Maybe my 100%, maybe my original 100%, without shoving it down somebody's throat, makes them curious. Makes them sit up and say, I wonder if that's actually safe. Seems to be safe. She's not falling off cliffs. I don't know, though. I'm pretty good with this. Maybe I might try this. How's that so far? Well, actually, it wasn't bad. So what we have together is the opportunity to connect and communicate our different definitions of things. What we also have the opportunity to do, equally important, equally essential, is that if we walk around like this and we see everybody else like this and we want to fit in, we want to be part of the group because we're the new kid in town, it's important to understand why they're like that, what they're really feeling, what they're really saying, where it's really coming from, before we automatically try to be less us and more them. We look for common ground. We don't look for giving up ground. We look for respect, not automatic rejection. Because that's the way life is. Individuals can say, it's my way or the highway, and they can carry on. However, history tells us that the human is not the most powerful animal. The human is tribal for a reason. The human is not a lone survivor. We don't have the physical strength. We can acquire tools, but we alone don't have the physical strength. How we thrive and survive is by working together, by looking at obstacles and tackling them together. You can climb a mountain all by yourself. It's safer if you climb with a partner. You can look at what appears to be a threat and immediately attack it because it doesn't fit in to your view. Or you can say, let's start over. Let's pay attention. Let's rethink where we're going and why. Let's make sure we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's perfectly normal that we are different. Every single person is slightly different. We're snowflakes in the best definitions of the word. Our DNA is distinct. Our ancestry, our carried wounds and our carried strengths impact everything we do. And it's important to honor that and respect it. And observe it and pay attention. Where is it coming from? What does it mean? There is an expression, ready, willing, and able. Able is the final word in the trio. We can be ready, but if we're not willing, we're going to sit on the couch and eat cheese doodles. We can be willing, but if we're not ready, we can be running around in our pajama pants and no shoes. We can be ready and willing, but if we are not able to connect the dots, it falls apart. Our ability to understand each other, our ability to see our path, our willingness to respect their point of view, our readiness to think again before we act, as we act, when we've acted. These three make us quite extraordinary. And when I was talking to my friend and I said, we are parallel, we are not the same. And we need to respect that. Above all, we need to respect it. Why you do what you do, why you are here, is similar. And I'm grateful, so grateful that you are. How you got here, what causes you to choose to come again, these are all blessings. These are all fascinating questions to ask and answer. The important point is, where are we going? Why do we feel we need to go there? What is it we hope to achieve when we arrive? When you get in the car and you're in the driveway and you have no idea where you're going, don't start the car. Gas is expensive. Electricity is expensive. You got to find a place to refuel, to reset, to restore. Where do you want to be and why do you feel you want to be there is a big decision to make before you decide to go tally-ho. My dad used to get the lyrics of songs wrong. I'm not sure why. And his incorrect lyrics were remarkably confusing because it didn't make any sense. And I would look at him. When I was a teenager, I would roll my eyes so hard I fell over backwards. When I would look at him and I think, he's a smart guy. Where did that come from? And he would say, I don't know, that's what I thought it sounded like. And he would happily sing along. You're thinking, oh my God. Because it was what he thought he heard, and therefore he repeated it. And it didn't cause any harm. Caused a great deal of confusion and considerable amount of laughter. Didn't cause any harm. That was a flaw. He didn't feel it was serious. He didn't correct it. And I grew up thinking, okay, I'm never going to just automatically sing what he's singing. Possibly I need to check the sources. And that's an important life lesson, because one person says something, if it feels off, if it feels odd, check the sources. They could have just heard it wrong. And this is the other thing that is so important. If we are nervous about something, if we feel somehow threatened, it's so easy for us to decide that the confusion was intentional. You did that to me intentionally. And the person had no idea. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Oh, you need a hug? I'm sorry. I didn't realize. No. Are you sure? Because you scared me. I'm sorry I scared you. But two people are involved in that outcome. If I said or did something and I wasn't paying attention to something I may know about you, it's easy to apologize. If I said something completely harmless and it touched a sore spot in you because of your origin story, it's important to tell me, but it's not okay to blame me because I didn't know your origin story. Or, this is very important, really important. We all have stuff, we all have baggage. We all have things we have to do. We have lists. We have stuff we've set aside that we meant to do or didn't want to do. And we're preoccupied. We're swimming as fast as we can, and sometimes we're swimming against the current. If we forget something that someone else said or did, and it was important to them, and we just genuinely forgot it, not because it didn't matter, but because our brains were already full, and they say, how could you forget? And we say, I'm so sorry. There's just been a lot going on. And the person says, yes, but if you cared about me, you wouldn't forget. And in those conversations, what we're really saying is, I expected this much from you. I forgot that this is your genuine 100%. That you come to me changed in some way. And this is always what you've given. And I forgot. If someone looks me in the eye and says, I am genuinely sorry, I am so sorry, forgive them. You're not going to make them into a clone of you. We are never going to be able to create identical levels of care and concern and focus and interest and skill in other people. We are not identical. We are stronger because we are different. My skill at one thing that I share with you, that you acquire to the extent that you can acquire it, gives you a new tool. Your skill that I don't have, that I study and watch you and learn, gives me another skill. We benefit from each other if we're willing to accept that we are different, that we have different interests, sometimes shared goals, sometimes not. The fundamental basis, when I post every morning that I'm live at 10 a.m. Abbey time. Abbey time is wherever I'm standing, right? That's Abbey time. Okay, but you're not all in here with me. So then I refine it. I'm in the Eastern time zone. And the city that everybody recognizes is New York. So Abbey time is New York City time. And I clarify that the more I realize that people are listening to me from all over the place. So that we all understand that we're going to get here sort of at the same time, more or less, depending. Good morning, Sean. 333. Sky, Southeast England weather update that nobody asked for. Needed blue sky, sunshine, 2 degrees centigrade. Yes. Sky, are you familiar with the term raspberry? 2 degrees centigrade, sunny skies. Thank you. I appreciate you. Sort of, today. Kind of. I also forgive you deeply because you are the author of this magnificent, sparkly orange and white feather boa for my flamingo. So Sky, sky's the limit. What we want to do in these troubling days of weird weather and outspoken behavior is take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath. Remember why we came. Look at what is on offer. Remember that our ability and their ability, while they're not the same, they can mean the same. And I think the bit that I want to close with is this. That I feel this way about chocolate and you feel this way about mint caramel swirl, or there's a noxious I just but somebody might like that. How I feel about chocolate, how you feel about whatever that is, that you like that and not what I like, and I like this and not what you like, simply means we're not going to order the same ice cream. That's it. It means that we have different tastes. It means that we have different priorities. It means that we have different preferences. But it doesn't mean the end of the world as we know it. And if you say, as I have heard people say, good morning, Susan, and a loving raspberry back to you, say, yeah, sure, says the Berserker Viking. That I care about this and you care about that doesn't mean we cannot care about each other. That I am deeply passionate about what I do and you are deeply passionate about what you do doesn't mean that my passion is any less. That you prefer green and I prefer orange doesn't mean that green has less value. It simply means that I prefer orange and that I'm as passionate and loyal and attached as you are. Because we can respect each other as they are, who they are, without defining them on our terms. It took me a long time to understand that my this is actually no different from their this. If this is their 100% and this is my 100%, it's 100%. And I get to welcome it if I'm ready to see why our differences are our gifts. Okay. On a less serious and heavy note, I got to see something pretty special this weekend. I got to watch through pictures and videos. I got to watch Chris Wilkes do something pretty darn cool. I got to watch him walking around in a varsity jacket that was customized by little old me to represent a concept that materialized, presented itself, arrived with a large Bugs Bunny kiss on the nose in October last year. And it is pretty cool that we have so many people from so many different places. Good morning, Rhea. We have so many people from so many different places saying, you're right. There is a touchstone that I hang on to. There is a moment that I will never forget, that I will never let go of. There is a smell when I'm walking past a bakery. There is that you come in the door and somebody's making that meal that you used to have when you were at a young age, when you weren't feeling well or when you were feeling amazing. It's the birthday treat that you always had when you were little, and you see it in a store and you say, I'm going to give that to me. I deserve. And I, in conversation with a couple of very creative people, very creative, very observant, very smart people, I said, those moments are unforgettable. That first kiss, that first taste of that thing that makes your whole mouth say, what a good idea. Let's do that again. We never forget those firsts. We never forget those moments when you can hear the little voices going, ah. We never forget the moments of comfort, the moments of fun, the moments of play, the moments of excitement and commitment and complete engagement and fascination and spike the ball, ha. We never forget them because they touch us where we live. And somehow out of that conversation, I said, it's unforgettable. It's unforgettable. It's like simply irresistible. It's unforgettable. And it's not only that that is unforgettable. It's not only that the moment, you're very welcome, Susan. It's not only that the moment is unforgettable. It's that the sense of complete peace and harmony and safety and sanctuary that it just envelops us is also something we never forget. And that moment becomes associated with that thing, that feeling, that sense, that awareness, that balance becomes forever tied to that crazy, colorful lunchbox, right, Warren? That amazing movie one-liner, right, Chris? That history lesson when the berserkers were at the front of the boat and changed the game, right, Sky? We never, ever forget that. It becomes the core thread. And when we go back to it, see, it's doing it to me the same way I've seen it happen to people who've come to a live event and they read that the mom from You Canada on Television is going to be there, or they read that one of the Care Bears is going to be there. And they grew up feeling safe. They grew up feeling heard and understood. They grew up saying, the way my great pal Greg says, I felt that Alistair and I could be friends, that we could go for a run together, that we could sit down and look at the world the same way. And then, not too long ago, I managed to achieve something that Greg never expected to happen. When Greg came up to Ottawa to help me with a show, I said, let's go have coffee with Alistair. And that is a moment that Greg will never forget, because his past and his present came together. And I was there in the middle, naturally. And we never forget those moments. We never forget. And we say, I don't really care how hard it was to get here, because I got to connect my past to my present. And how often can we do that? When we have this opportunity to touch a core memory, that core thread in our tapestry, and it resonates and it shifts and it changes everything else. One of the things that Susan and I talk about a lot when we're doing our little consult catch-ups and stuff, when I want to say something that I don't want someone to forget, I really want them to remember it and have it automatically there. I try to engineer the conversation so that I say something funny, like hard funny, like big laugh funny, element of surprise, ridiculous funny. And we both laugh, and we laugh that really good big laugh. Right after that laugh, as the laugh is fading, is when I say this thing I want anchored permanently in a good space. Because now they're attached. Now they're woven together. Woven together with a connected moment, an unforgettable moment, a positive endorphin rush of calm and awe and release and safety is my idea. And that way they hold it in a good place and it comes back as a strong asset for them, not something to be afraid of, but to something to welcome and say, there it is. Yes. I do that all the time. People who work with me over time realize that I do that. And I do it why? Because it's going to be less work for me and a better outcome for all of us. So in complicated times, when it's snowing a lot, there's a snowbank across the street from me that is over 10 feet high. It's not that we had 10 feet of snow. It's that the snow plows had to put the snow somewhere in order to clear. It's a university across the street from me. And so to clear the university parking lot in the middle of the night, in the middle of the snowstorm, all the snow that came on top of all the previous snow, they put it in a corner. The corner of the parking lot has swallowed 30 parking spots. And it's 10 feet high. That's accumulated stuff. Something like that is why we are no longer this, and now we are this. Because we're surrounded by all that stuff, and it needs to be cleared away. And we will do that another day. We will do that when things aren't pressing and looming and scaring the living crap out of us. We will take care of it. First of all, we have to see it. How long has that been there? We have to remember to avoid it because, okay, that's unfortunate. And then we have to realize how much it limits us. And we have to chip away at it so that we can gradually give ourselves permission to feel safe, loving more, opening ourselves up to more possibility. We may never get this. We may never get this. But as long as we understand that the commitment, the love part of the commitment is why it works. Nurturing is why it works. Giving people purpose. It's up to them to pick it up. It's up to them to say they want it. It's up to them to own it. But giving people the opportunity to claim something that brings us together in harmony, to build, is very special. The laughter is like an elephant in the room. Why, yes, it is. And by the way, I got a notice last night. They're coming tomorrow. I can't wait. I can't wait. I will in the next video, because I'm running long and I don't want to go on and on. I will talk to you about the elephant in the next video. It's a wonderful moment of triumph. What I hope we all take away is an awareness of something. We all feel better. We all feel joy. We all feel when we can be grateful for all the love and focus on finding more. and give the fear and the apprehension and the distrust and the confusion permission to fade away. That people swing their fist does not mean that they intend to hit our nose. It can just be an error. When it does connect with our nose, we do have permission to say, I'm sorry, that's my nose, so you have exceeded your boundary. Don't do that again. And it is up to the person who, with the fist, to say, oh, my bad, sorry, or some other less helpful thing. And it is my hope, having lived everywhere for 15 minutes, that we all take a breather, we all take a step back, and we all say, there is a way to make sure we are happily in this together. We just have to work on it. And then we find that everybody's there with us, working on it together. Today is a very important day. And I'm very, very grateful that I had you to share it with. Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones. And I will see you on Thursday. Bye-bye for now.